Metro Sports presents Notre Dame football. It's the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame visiting the midshipmen of Navy. This game comes to you from the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Today's Fighting Irish football game is brought to you by Michelob Light, an exceptional beer with a rich, smooth taste. By the football fans at Espark. By Prestone 2 Antifreeze. Deep inside, you can trust Prestone. And by Kodak Film. Kodak, America's storyteller. Metro Sports welcomes you to our one-hour special highlight version of Fighting Irish football. At the Meadowlands, it was Notre Dame and Navy. I'm Harry Callis along with George Connor. That's Notre Dame All-American, and it appeared against Navy, George, that the Irish refound their offense.
Well, Blair Kiel had a good performance, his best of the year. He was throwing the ball very sharply. I think his performance late in the game against Oregon when he brought him down to get the 3 points for the tie really helped him. He continued on today. The return of Larry Moriarty and the surprising performance of the little freshman Allen Pinkett. And Blair Kiel, looking for other receivers, opened the game up offensively. Of course, defensively, Notre Dame is always sound and good, but this was a stubborn Navy team and a good game for Notre Dame to prepare for the #1 team in the country, Pittsburgh.
You'll see 2 touchdown passes thrown by Notre Dame. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in just a few moments. Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Harry Callis along with George Connor. It's the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and Navy. The broadcast cablecast rights to this game are granted by the University of Notre Dame to Metro Communications Incorporated. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without written consent is prohibited. The announcers on this telecast have been selected and paid by Metro Communications Incorporated in consultation with the University of Notre Dame. The captains are meeting at midfield for Notre Dame. Dave Dewerson, Phil Carter, Mark Savagnin, and John Sweeney. And Travis Wallington, one of the captains for Navy, along with Dennis McCall, their offensive center. A gorgeous afternoon in the Meadowlands at East Rutherford. Sun-spanked day, close to a capacity crowd here. They're expecting well over 70,000. Notre Dame has a decided edge in this, the longest intersectional rivalry in collegiate football. This is the 56th game, and Notre Dame with a 45-9-1 edge, 1 tie, and Notre Dame has won the last 18. The last time Navy won was behind Roger Staubach in 1963. Conditions, George Connor, could not be more ideal.
Just perfect here as we get set for the opening kickoff. Notre Dame has blanked the Navy the last 3 times out. 14-0 in 79, 33-0 in 80, and 38-0 in 81. Navy is hungry for a victory. They have a new head coach in Gary Tranquil. They're 4-3. They've had a lot of injuries. Their quarterback went out last week in the 3rd period. Their key receiver, Chris Weiler, went out with an injury. They've had several injuries this week. I look for Navy to come out throwing early and often, go to the shotgun, flankers around, any kind of trick play they can use to get on the board early against Notre Dame.
I think they will pull out all the stops as Jerry Faust looks out in his second year as head coach of the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame 4-1-1 this year under Jerry Faust. Al Van Weil, the freshman, will kick off. And the deep men for Navy, Rich Clouse and Nat McCallum. Napoleon McCallum, number 30, and Clouse, number 23. And this game at Giant Stadium is underway. This will be returned by Clouse from the 7-yard line. Clouse right up the middle. Clouse all the way to the 34-yard line before he's brought down by Mansell Carter and Dave Dewerson. First and 10, Navy on a good return by Rich Clouse. Navy offensively will have Tom Tarquinio at quarterback. Andy Skane is the fullback. The tailback is Rich Clouse. Hand off to Clouse. He gets a couple of yards. That's about all. Brought down by Mike Gadd. Notre Dame coming in defensively, third in the nation in rushing defense. Well, that's Navy's defensive line. Second down and 8 for Navy. They have the ball at their own 36-yard line. Tom Tarquinio, the senior from Beaver, Pennsylvania. Back to throw. He's got his man Clouse at the 40-yard line. He's dropped immediately short of the first down. Tarquinio to Rich Clouse, brought down by Mike Larkin on the play at the 41-yard line. Notre Dame's defense along the line, one of the top reasons why they are third in the nation in rushing defense. Griffith, Gann, Autry, and Claspy. It is third down and 3 Navy at their own 41-yard line from the shotgun formation. Tarquinio calls signals. Tarquinio looks upfield, right up the middle. Hands of his intended receiver. That was Brian Caraveo. So it's a fourth down, and the punting situation is on for Navy. Their punter is Mark Colby. He is a sophomore out of Sandusky, Michigan. He does not have a long punting average, 34.7. Dave Dewerson in solo safety for Notre Dame. They're going after it, but he gets it away, and Dewerson from the 17-yard line. Dewerson up to the 30. Dewerson to the 37-yard line. First and 10, Notre Dame at the Navy 28-yard line. Nothing, 11:21 left to play, first period. Pinkett again. Pinkett looking for some room. Pinkett goes down to the 24-yard line before he's brought down, a pickup of around 5. Allen Pinkett, the ball carrier.
Watch Pinkett set up his blockers. Watch him set up the fullback Moriarty. He'll go up the middle there. Now he gets to the outside. Moriarty gets the angle on the defensive end, Hamp overly, and Pinkett gets to the outside for good yardage.
Second down and 5, Notre Dame at the 23-yard line of Navy. Kiel straight back to pass. Looks upfield. Knocked down by Andy Ponziego. It was intended for Milt Jackson. So it's a third down and 5 call for Notre Dame.
Ponziego almost got one. He has 1 interception on the year, while Navy has 10 interceptions for the season.
So a third down and 5 call for Notre Dame at the 23-yard line of Navy. It's 0-0. 11:06 left to play first quarter. Blair Kiel with Moriarty and Pinkett as running backs behind him. Pinkett gets the hit. Stacked up for a loss on the play by Paul Soers, the senior defensive tackle.
Well, Notre Dame trying to fool the minis and Navy. Navy, they thought, would be looking for a pass, but they tried the running draw, and their big man on the defensive line. Paul Soares was there, 6'4", 256, a senior.
Now the Cinderella story of Notre Dame will attempt a field goal. Mike Johnston, the senior walk-on from Rochester, New York. Look at that, 33 of the last 53 points. Blocked. The field goal try is blocked, and Johnston, who was 13 for 13, is unsuccessful for the first time this year, was blocked by Brian Cianello.
We can see where he comes in there. Well, he got through from the outside and came up the middle.
With the score, Notre Dame nothing, Navy nothing. We'll be back in a moment. First and 10, Notre Dame at midfield. Nothing, 9:52 to play first half. Blair Kiel pitches back to Pinkett. Pinkett to the 45-yard line before he's brought down. A pickup of 5 on the play. Andy Ponsiego again in on the tackle. You will hear the name Andy Ponsiego all afternoon. He's a junior from Littleton, Colorado. Set a Navy record for most tackles in a season last year with 152 of them.
There you see him, 65. He calls the defensive signals. He gets them from the bench and relays them to his team.
Second down and 5, Notre Dame at the Navy 45-yard line. Blair Kiel back to pass. Looks upfield. Got his man Haywood. Haywood to the 40. Haywood is finally spilled it around the 38-yard line. It's a first down, Notre Dame. Mike Haywood.
Yeah, from behind the defense. Now watch Kiel set up there. Good blocking. Fires it right into Haywood. Kiel is now 6 for 9.
Notre Dame has a bevy of exciting young receivers. Freshmen Haywood and Jackson. Sophomore Joe Howard. There you see Blair Kiel's afternoon so far. First and 10, Notre Dame at the Navy 37-yard line.
That's where he started to shine after a kickoff return against USC. Watch this quick throwing of Blair Kiel, much sharper today in his passing, utilizing his wideouts.
First and 10, Notre Dame with the Navy 23-yard line. Blair Kiel fakes the pitch, and they can roll out. Kiel throws. He's got Hunter. Hunter to the 3-yard line. First and goal, Notre Dame. Brought down by Kurt Dixon at the 3.
Here, watch the faking. Now, Blair Kiel could have run it, but he saw it. His tight end, Tony Hunter, open.
Tony Hunter has caught 2 today. He's caught 24 this year. Averaging 12.2 per catch. First and goal, Notre Dame. All at the Navy 3-yard line. Kiel rolling out. Got a man wide open. Touchdown, Notre Dame. To Chris Smith. Chris Smith. Notre Dame's first touchdown pass of the year. And it comes to the most unlikely receiver, Chris Smith.
That was Chris Smith's first reception of the year. Very seldom used on offense. In fact, started the year on defense, but due to injuries, they put him back on offense. And Blair Kiel's first touchdown pass of the year.
Ken Karcher will hold Kevin Kelly to snap. Mike Johnston will attempt the conversion. Johnston 9 for 9 and extra points. It's in the air, and it is good. 7:32 left to play in the first half. With the score, Notre Dame 7, Navy nothing. We'll be back in a moment. 45-yard line. Kiel straight back to pass. Fires one. It's caught by Brooks at the 44-yard line. A gain of just 3 yards. Mark Brooks making the reception, but there is a marker down on the play, and a holding penalty will be called against Notre Dame.
See if we can pick up the holding. Looking from the defensive standpoint now, there it could be right there on 73. Oh, definitely holding. But I didn't see who that was, but that was definitely holding against Steve Peters, the middle guard.
There's a holding penalty against Notre Dame.
You know, Harry, it's really tough to get caught for holding with the new leniency that they give the offensive blockers. They let them use their hands. They push out in front of them. But he had a hold of the jersey.
Penalty also against Navy. So it is offsetting penalties. Personal foul against Navy, a holding penalty against Notre Dame. They're spotting the ball at the Navy 42-yard line. There will be a first down for Notre Dame and 1st and 5 for the Irish at the Navy 42-yard line. Blair Kiel on a first down and 5 call sends Piercy in motion. Recovers all the way back at his own 48-yard line. So a fumbled snap. Kiel just had to fall on the football.
Once again, having trouble with that exchange between Tom Thayer, who's playing in his 3rd game at center, replacing the injured Mark Fisher. Mark Fisher had arthroscopic surgery. He's back running. They hope to have him back maybe for the Pittsburgh game, but surely for the Penn State game.
So it is 2nd and 15 Notre Dame. They have the ball at their own 48-yard line, leading 7-0. Kiel being rushed, gets it away, incomplete. And again, the quarterback blitz by Joe Papetti really pressured Blair Kiel. 3rd down and 15. There is Mike Johnston, who came into this game having been 13 for 13 in field goal attempts. Had his only attempt today blocked. That is the only time he has missed one. He's quite a story. A senior walk-on, did not attempt a field goal until this is senior year. And he has a chance for the ultimate dream of every college football player, All-American. Blair Kiel, sideline great catch, Joe Howard. First down, Notre Dame at the 34-yard line. Small wonder kept his feet inbounds.
Joe Howard probably has the best moves of any receiver on the Notre Dame team. Watch Kiel throw to a spot. Howard gets there. He has sure hands. Watch him get the foot down. He only needs 1 foot in bounds before he goes out of bounds.
1st and 10, Notre Dame at the 34-yard line of Navy with 1:30 left to play first half. Blair Kiel straight back, looks, firing deep and way out of the reach of the intended receiver Howard, who is well covered by Joe Papetti. So it's a 2nd down and 10 Notre Dame from the Navy 34-yard line. Blair Kiel is looking in for the play from the bench. Jerry Faust.
Tom Lichtenberg. Jerry Faust is also on the headset. To Ron Hudson.
Van Piercy goes wide to the left. Howard wide to the right on a 2nd down and 10 call. The middle, he's got his man, Tony Hunter, close to a first down to the 24-yard line. Brian Cianella makes the tackle. Tony Hunter's 3rd reception today, his 25th this year. Time called by Notre Dame, I believe, unless the officials call time for a measure. Officials do call time for a measure.
Tony
Tony Hunter started 36 or 40 games since he's been at Notre Dame. There you see him, big number 85. But Blair Kiel today looking much sharper than he has all year. Came back in the last 5 minutes of the game last week against Oregon and has thrown with more accuracy. He's put more steam on the ball, and he's really hitting his receivers. Having a really good day out there today. Blair Kiel, the junior from Columbus, Ohio.
It is first down, Notre Dame at the 24-yard line. Notre Dame has all of their timeouts remaining. 1:04 on the clock in the first half. First and 10 at the 24-yard line of Navy. Kiel fake handoff, rolling out, gets a pass incomplete. It was intended for Mark Brooks. And Brian Cianella defending on the play. Second down and 10 Notre Dame at their 24-yard line. One of the few incompletions thrown by Blair Kiel this afternoon.
Tough pass to throw. Kiel is now 13 of 17 for 143 yards. An excellent day. And one touchdown.
Touchdown to Chris Smith. It's second down and 10 Notre Dame. Hand off to Pinkett, and Pinkett does not fool the Irish, or rather the Navy defense, as he gets a yard, and that's all. Brought down by George Herlong, the middle guard. Notre Dame will have a third down and 9 at the Navy 23-yard line. Notre Dame leads 7-0. We have 45 seconds left to play in the first half. Coming in defensively for Navy is Eric Fudge at a defensive back. Bill Carter in for the first time at a running back, along with Mark Brooks on a third down and 9 call. Blair Kiel has Piercy and Howard wide to the left. Kiel looking downfield, fires one out of the grasp of Joe Howard at the 9-yard line. Defending on the play for Navy was Craig Williams.
Rolling to his left. Excellent blocking. The ball was right on the numbers, but it appeared to bounce right off of Joe Howard's shoulder pad, as we'll see when it comes into view here.
Mike Johnston will attempt a field goal with the ball spotted at the 30. This will be a 40-yard try. His one field goal attempt this afternoon was blocked by Brian Cianella. He is on the right side, so we'll watch for 28's rush. The kick is in the air. It is long enough, and it is good by Mike Johnston. Johnston's 14th field goal out of 15 tries this season. Mike Johnston makes it 10-0 Notre Dame.
Looking from the defense, let's watch. Good hold, good blocking there. Nobody breaks through that time. Keeps his head down all the way through the uprights.
So Notre Dame leads 10-0. We have 35 seconds to play in the first half. Notre Dame will be kicking off to Navy. The only time Johnston missed wasn't his fault. It was blocked in this game earlier by Navy. Johnston has been perfect this year. The deep men for Navy will be Clouse and McCallum. Hal Von Weil to do the kicking for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's kicking team has done a good job covering the kickoffs. One of the key men has been number 58, a freshman named Tony Furjanic.
Hails from Mount Carmel High School, the same high school as Notre Dame Hall of Famer Ziggy Zarobski.
Old Ziggy. Weil. McCallum will elect. Oh, he's going to run it out from the 2-yard line. Gets away from one man, reverses his field, and fights to the 20. Fumbles. Notre Dame recovers at the 22-yard line. Pouncing on that football for Notre Dame. Jack Shields.
two in there for Petty. Luckily, Blair Kiel had the sense of feeling that cornerback coming up, and he cradled the ball, and he's down for a sack.
Timeout called by Notre Dame. Jerry Faust and Tom Lichtenberg, the offensive coordinator, talking with Blair Kiel.
Notice they don't have their headsets on. They're making this up themselves. Ron Hudson is not in on this.
Ron Hudson well may be heading down for the locker room prior to halftime with 20 seconds left to go here in the first half.
Well, it takes a long time to get down there, and he probably didn't figure that Notre Dame was going to recover a fumble on the kickoff.
And McCallum probably did not use good judgment in trying to bring that kickoff back out of the end zone. As it turned out, he certainly did. Second down and long. Blair Kiel rolling out. Has some time, looks and throws, and is incomplete. It was intended on the far sideline for Van Piercy, and depending on the play, Brian Cianella. So it is a third down and long for Notre Dame. Third down at about 20. 14 seconds left to play here in the first half. Notre Dame leading 10-0 as Mike Haywood comes in at a wide out for the Irish. Coming out is Van Piercy. Joe Howard wide to the left and Haywood wide to the right. The running backs are Brooks and Pinkett. Blair Kiel hands off to Pinkett, a stutter step, but he only gets to the 31-yard line, and there he is brought down, and Notre Dame calls timeout. Andy Ponsiego making the tackle. So Notre Dame will call upon Mike Johnston for a long field goal attempt here. This will be about a 48-yard try. That much time remaining. Notre Dame leading Navy 10-0 with 7 seconds left to play first half.
There's Mike Johnston's longest was 43 yards against Arizona. But I was watching him in the warm-up, and he was kicking him with ease over 50 yards.
Mike Johnston, who was in the shadow of Harry Oliver for the last several seasons, did not attempt a field goal in his Irish career until this his senior year. And he has made 14 out of 15. The only one he has missed was blocked earlier today by Brian Cianella. This will be a 48-yard attempt by Johnston. He makes it good. It will be his longest field goal of the year. The snap is good. The spot is there. The kick is up. And it is good. A 48-yarder by Mike Johnston. Oh, what a season the senior walk-on from Rochester, New York has had for the Fighting Irish. Mike Johnston is truly a Cinderella story. So that's the end of the first half. From Giants Stadium, Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with the score: Notre Dame 13, Navy nothing. Pickup of about 6 yards on the pass from Tarquinio to Rich Clouse.
Great running after a catch by Rick Clouse. Little swing pass out in the flat. Watch him give Griffith the shake there. Gets by Cebak. And there's John Mosley. Finally brought down by Torres.
Tony Perjanik has come in defensively for Notre Dame, replacing Mike Larkin. Tarquinio hands off to Clouse. Clouse trying to cut back. He gets about 1 yard, and that's all. Down to the 32-yard line. Tony Perjanik made the tackle, and Mike Larkin comes back in for Notre Dame.
Perjanik, only a freshman. Here he comes out of the game, only in there one play, but he's credited with a tackle. He really likes to hit.
Yeah, he does. He's done an exceptional job on the kickoff team. He forced a fumble by McCallum, which led to Notre Dame's closing 3 points prior to the half. A third down and 4 call for Tarquinio from the shotgun. Tarquinio being blitzed by Larkin, gets away from him, throws the pass, intercepted. Stacy Tord at the 7-yard line. First down, Notre Dame. Pass was picked off, was intended for Cebak, but Stacy Tord intercepted.
Watch the blitz. There goes Larkin. And
and 10 Notre Dame. They have the ball at the 7-yard line, their own 7. 13-0 Notre Dame. 10:53 left to play here in the third period. Blair Kiel sacked for a safety. A safety for Navy. It makes it 13-2. Eric Rutherford coming in to sack Kiel in the end zone. Eric Rutherford, 230-pound sophomore from Boulder, Colorado. And that is the first points Navy has put on the board against Notre Dame in the last 4 years.
Watch from the right of your screen. There you see Rutherford coming in there, coming in all alone. Nobody to block behind him. Blair Kiel knocked down for a safety. Notre Dame will kick off from their own 20.
With the score, Notre Dame 13, Navy 2. We'll be back in a moment. John Mosley really crushed Tarquinio. It caused an errant throw, and Cebak intercepted.
From behind the defense, watch on your left. Very quick, John Mosley from Omaha, Nebraska. And there's a deep drop by Cebak, and his 3rd interception of the day, and Notre Dame's 4th of the afternoon.
1st and 10 Notre Dame at the Navy 47. Cebak the intercept, but credit the errant throw by John Mosley, who knocked the arm of Tarquinio. Notre Dame 13, Navy 2. Kiel throws a bullet. Incomplete. It was intended for Joe Howard. Howard was well covered on the play by Kurt Dixon. 2nd down and 10 for Notre Dame. They had the ball at the Navy 47-yard line. 13-2 Notre Dame. 4:04 left to play, 3rd quarter. Next week for the Irish, the Pitt Panthers in Pittsburgh. Ranked number 2 in the nation. Quick throw. Hunter's got it. Hunter is short of the 1st down. Brought down immediately at the 39-yard line. Brought down by Carl Wagner at the 39. It brings up a 3rd down and 2 as Chris Smith and John Sweeney come in for Notre Dame. And the 2 wideouts, Joe Howard and Mike Haywood, come on.
Tony Hunter, a favorite target of Blair Kiel. He's going down about 6 or 7 yards, getting his big body in front of the defenders, and Blair Kiel is sticking it right in the gut.
3rd down and 2, and Moriarty over the top for the 1st down. Larry Moriarty over the top gets the 1st down at the Navy 36-yard line. 1st and 10 Notre Dame. 3:24 left to play, 3rd quarter. Notre Dame with a 13-2 lead.
Moriarty had 116 yards, a career high against Michigan. Been injured, but he's back in good shape now.
He and Allen Pinkett are the running backs behind Blair Kiel. Hand off to Pinkett. Pinkett has the running room. Pinkett down the far side of the 18-yard line, finally stopped by Kurt Dixon. Allen Pinkett.
Good fake to Moriarty, runs behind the block of Larry Williams, gets to the outside, turns on the speed.
Allen Pinkett has picked up 90 yards on 23 carries so far this afternoon. It's 1st and 10 Notre Dame at the Navy 18-yard line.
Really having a big day.
Kiel rolling out, shoots a pass. Touchdown, Notre Dame! From Blair Kiel to Larry Moriarty, 18 yards and a touchdown. Notre Dame takes a 19-2 lead, and that is the 2nd touchdown pass of the afternoon for Kiel.
Let's watch the rollout. Watch the delayed fake to Pinkett. Now Moriarty is slipping out. There he goes. Good catch, and watch this determination. Caught it underneath the elbow and up and over into the end zone for his 4th touchdown of the year.
Mike Johnston to attempt the conversion. Ken Karcher will hold. Boot is in the air, and it is dead solid perfect. touchdown passes, have 2 today. 1 to Chris. The Irish travel to the Steel City to take on Dan Marino and the Panthers of the University of Pittsburgh. Irish will certainly have their hands full trying to stop Marino aerials to receivers like Julius Dawkins and Dwight Collins. Notre Dame and Pittsburgh next week. Pitt ranked 1 on some polls, 2 on others. They are tough. Join us next week from Pittsburgh. Alvon Wild will kick off. Rich Clouse and Napoleon McCallum, the deep men for Navy. 20-2, Notre Dame leading. 2:28 left to play. We're in the third quarter. Clouse at the 4-yard line. Clouse buried at the 18 by Chris Smith. Smith, a fine defensive play for Notre Dame. 1st and 10 for Navy. They'll have the ball at their own 18-yard line.
Notre Dame special teams have really reacted very well on kickoffs and punts today.
You know, they have all year. Last week they faced Oregon, which was second in the nation in punt returns and an excellent kickoff return team. Same thing with Arizona the week before. The special teams have done an excellent job for them. 1st and 10 for Navy at their own 18-yard line. Tarquinio rolling out. Gets a pass away. Picked off by Dewerson. Dave Dewerson intercepts. 1st and 10 Notre Dame at the Navy 12-yard line. Notre Dame a block of interceptions this afternoon.
Well, Dave Dewerson getting his 2nd of the day. And Notre Dame's 5th of the afternoon. The pass was intended for Ken Hine. Watch Tarquinio roll out to the right. He's throwing into a crowd there. There you see it. Picked it off. He was covered by Pat Ballage. And Dewerson tripped. Otherwise, he would have had 6.
1st and 10. Notre Dame at the 12-yard line of Navy. 20-2. Notre Dame leads. Kiel back to pass. Looking upfield. Kiel fires a bullet incomplete in and out of the hands of Haywood. Haywood was open early. Then with the rollout, Navy's defense dropped back and it's incomplete at 2nd down and 10 Notre Dame. Blair Kiel looking to the bench for the next call. Moriarty and Pinkett are the running backs. The wideouts are Milt Jackson and Mike Haywood. As we look at Kiel from the defensive standpoint, here's Pinkett. Pinkett still on his feet. Touchdown Notre Dame. Allen Pinkett from 12 yards out. Pinkett's 3rd touchdown of the year, his 3rd in as many weeks. And Notre Dame is taking a 26-2 lead.
And Allen Pinkett, just a mighty mite, a freshman from Sterling, Virginia. He's got 102 yards. Watch him take the pitch out, follow his blocker. There's Moriarty, and watch him run over the #1 tackler, number 65, Andy Paziego of Navy for a touchdown. Pinkett now 102 yards, 24 carries.
Johnston's kick is good. Notre Dame now leading 27-2 with 2 minutes and 4 seconds to go in the third quarter. 2nd down and 10 Navy. Ball at the Notre Dame 26-yard line. 4:16 left to play. Tarquinio looking upfield. Ball is batted down by a hard-charging Greg Dingens.
And Mansell Carter was in there, too, from East St. Louis, Illinois.
Big Mansell. At 6'8", 227 pounds. Pat Kramer is also seeing some action this afternoon. Senior defender. 3rd down and 10. 4:12 left to play. Notre Dame leads Navy 27-2. Cebak wide to the right. Going for the bundle. Cebak, a great catch. Touchdown, Navy. Boy, what a great catch by Bill Cebak from Pittsburgh,
football. Mosley's got his back to it, but what a catch. Look at that catch. He gets down. Cebak's second touchdown of the year.
That's a fine play by the 5'11", 167-pound junior from Pittsburgh, Bill Cebak. Navy is going to go for a two-point conversion. The score 27-8. Tom Tarquinio will be the quarterback, so they'll go for the two-point conversion. Tarquinio from the shotgun. Tarquinio fires a pass. Two-point conversion good to Rich Clouse. The Notre Dame has made it 5-1-1 on the year. Beat Navy for the 19th consecutive time as the Irish showed signs of bringing that offense back to life. A couple of touchdown passes by Blair Kiel. Notre Dame winning here at Giant Stadium by a score of 27-10. That's the end of the game with the final score, Notre Dame 27 and Navy 10. Along with George Connor at Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands, Fighting Irish 27, Navy 10. George, a good game for the Irish with Pitt and Penn State coming up.
Well, it's a game that the Irish needed. They had to get some enthusiasm on offense as we look at Jerry Faust and Gary Tranquil. The offense came out burning. They opened up the passing game with Blair Kiel. He was throwing the ball on target. They threw to a lot of receivers. The running game was good with Pinkett. The defense is always good.
And along with George Connor, Harry Callus, join us next week when the Fighting Irish travel to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to take on the #1 ranked Pittsburgh Panthers. From the Meadowlands, once again the final score, Notre Dame 27, Navy 10.
The following is a CBS Sports special, Wake Up the Echoes.
You are hearing the strains of the most famous college football song in America. Cheer, cheer for old Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes, cheering her name. To Notre Dame fans, and they number in the millions. Those echoes come alive with the great names that make up the legend. You know, they roll off the tongue like a litany, an honor roll of football immortals. Newt Rockne, George Gipp, the Four Horsemen, Frank Leahy, and onward down through the years to Paul Hornung, Terry Hanratty, Joe Montana, and of course, Era Parsigan, who is with us live right now. And Era, you lived through a part of that tradition at Notre Dame.
I certainly did for 11 years, Brent, and as I look back on it now, it was a great experience for me. There's great traditions, and I think this program that we're going to see recaptures the traditions that I was a part of that period of time.
All right, has Jerry Faust shown the film to the players who are there now?
Well, that's a very interesting question. As a matter of fact, he did before the Michigan game, and the whole team saw it. And, of course, it was by far their best performance. They ran up and down the field on Michigan like they weren't even there. And Jerry went back to see it twice. He told me that he cried both times that he looked at it. It's a very emotional thing. And Gene Corrigan, who's the athletic director at Notre Dame, told me just last week that that film has had a great impact on Jerry's sensitivity to the traditions and the responsibilities of that job.
So we invite everyone now to kick back and relax and enjoy Wake Up the Echoes as we join John Facenda.
Time in its passage changes all things. One place, however, has sustained a spirit and a tradition for so long that its story has evolved into legend. Each autumn in South Bend, Indiana, the glory of yesteryear meets the challenge of today. The tradition of the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame began nearly 100 years ago. The tradition is winning. something Notre Dame has learned to do better than any other college football team.
The biggest thing of all is that when you play for Notre Dame, that you give your all, because you represent a great university, and God's given you the opportunity to play college football. God's given you the opportunity to play for the University of Notre Dame. And that's a great thing.
The spirit of Notre Dame is, I think, if it could be bottled, could probably light up the universe.
Someday when the going gets tough, and you want to win a game more than anything else in the world, tell that gang to get it for the old Gipper.
45, 19, 37, hit!
Notre Dame's football teams have won more national championships and produced more Heisman Trophy winners than any other college. And pictures of their players and coaches line the walls of the Hall of Fame.
Rockne, of course, would have to be singled out. I remember at the Rockne Memorial where our offices were, and I remember standing beside that bust there of him and putting my arm on the shoulder there saying, "You started all this." And he did.
We're going inside him. We're going outside him. Inside him and outside him. And when we get him on the run once, we're going to keep him on the run.
Men of magic, men of muscle, the men of Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes, cheering their name.
All right, let's go then. Come on.
Wake Up the Echoes is sponsored by Aetna, I'm Glad I Met Ya. Radio Shack, the computer experts with over 6,500 locations nationwide. And by Miller High Life. Welcome to Miller Time.
In 1842, Father Edward Sorin founded the University of Notre Dame, and it wasn't long until the famed Golden Dome of Our Lady cast its first glitz across the Indiana plains. In 1887, Notre Dame was introduced to the game of football, and so began the most spirited romance in the history of sport. The romance was in the love of victory, the spirit in the way victory was pursued. In 1909, the spirit found a voice.
Cheer, cheer for old Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes, cheering her name. Then the fall.
Two students at Notre Dame, John Shea and his brother Michael, wrote a song that would become famous throughout the world.
Cheer, cheer for Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes, cheering her name. Send the volley cheer on high. Wake up the thunder from the sky. Thunder was holding us, be great or small. Notre Dame will win over all.
While Notre Dame's band shook down the thunder, lightning struck in the unlikely form of a bandy-legged and balding undergraduate who was neither Irish nor Catholic. Knut Rockne was the immigrant son of a Norwegian carriage maker. At Notre Dame, he was not only an all-around athlete and scholar, but a talented drama student whose performance as an Indian squaw drew rave notices in the local papers. As an end on the 1913 varsity, Rockne and quarterback Gus Doré practiced the seldom used forward pass and then led Notre Dame to a stunning upset over the undefeated Army team at West Point. After he graduated magna cum laude, Rockne accepted a job as a college chemistry teacher. But in 1918, he was persuaded to become head football coach of Notre Dame. Upon this rock, a tradition was built. In the Kansas countryside, a stone monument marks the spot where a plane crash took the life of football's greatest coach. Newt Rockne left no epitaph, only memories and friends.
You loved him. You loved him. You didn't like him. You just really loved him. You'd break your leg for him. You'd cut your neck right off right up there for him if he asked you to do it.
On 1, 2, 3. 2, 3.
We had over 300 boys out for the freshman team, incidentally. In those days, there were no grant aids or scholarships in football or athletics. And all these kids from all over the country wanted to play for Newt Rockne. He was the coach.
There's been a lot of objection to spring football, and I object to it myself because I can see where it interferes with your necking and drinking. But I don't want anybody here to come out for spring football who don't want to. As a matter of fact, I don't want spring football unless you do. Now, all those in favor of coming out for spring football, those who insist on having football, insist on having Hunk and Chev and Vadish and I take charge of this spring, will all signify by saying aye.
Newt Rockne was the head coach at Notre Dame for 13 years. His teams won 105 games and lost only 12. No coach, past or present, college or pro, has ever matched his winning percentage.
He always felt that football was not a game of muscle and brawn. It was a game of wit and intelligence. And you go back to his teams, you'll find that most of his players were not very big. As an example, as a freshman, I weighed 220 pounds. I was the biggest player that Rockne ever had. But he relied on speed and techniques as Notre Dame shift.
Signal! 36, 49, 22. Hip. 1, 2, 3.
Rockne's players were always smart and agile, able to strike quickly from either side of the scrimmage line.
It isn't necessary to see a good tackle, you can hear it. Tackling requires leg drive, courage, and fine judgment of timing and distance. That's all.
Rockne was a brilliant and entertaining teacher, and his lessons often went far beyond the fundamentals of football.
It's a fine ball game out there. But don't forget, it's just a game of football. And it's for now. And it's up to you fellows to get back in there and double up in your time and your classes so that you'll pass your semester examination.
Let's be outside. Let's not hold.
There were others coaching football who probably knew as much about the game as Rockne, but few had his knack for inspiring men. He was a clever psychologist who could fill a locker room with growls or with tears.
We went down to play a great Georgia Tech team. They were undefeated that year, and we were the underdog. We were to get licked by 30 points. But Rockne came into the dressing room before the game with a great number of telegrams in his right hand. And then he had a lone wire in his left hand. And he read this wire. He says, "It's from my poor, sick little boy, Billy, who was critically ill in the hospital in South Bend. And then he read the wire. As the lips began to tremble, the lump came to the throat. And he read, "I want Daddy's team to win." Well, we didn't let him finish his pep talk. We knocked him down. We went through a bolted door. We got on the field about 20 minutes before game time, waiting for Georgia Tech to come out to give us that terrific licking. Well, they did physically. But when the game was over, Notre Dame had won 13-3 for Rockney and that poor, sick little boy, Billy. But when we got back to South Bend, there was a crowd of 5,000 people there to greet us. And as we walked down the long steps of the train, with our faces racked in pain, whom do you think we saw on the front lines? That poor, sick little boy, Billy, looking like an ad for a dairy product. And we were all basket cases.
But don't forget, man, we're going to get them on a run. We're going to go, 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 go. And we aren't going to stop until we go to that goal line. Don't forget, man, today, we're going to win. They can't lick it, and that's out of the goal. The first whistle of the man win there. Fight, 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 fight. What do you say, man?
Rockney's squad traveled from coast to coast, playing and defeating the best teams in the country. Stadiums were jammed with Notre Dame's subway alumni, the name given to the thousands of fans who had never attended any college, but were attracted by the spirit of Newt Rockney's fighting life.
Rock, all New York is happy you're here. They appreciate what you have done. You will occupy an immortal place in American history.
He gave some speeches all over the country. He represented the Studebaker Corporation in their dealings in every part of the country. The Studebaker Corporation thought it was so good they came out with a car called Rockney. It was a lemon.
In 1929, Rockney was stricken with phlebitis, but he continued to coach, leading his team to his 5th undefeated season and 3rd national championship. By January of 1931, Rockney had recovered from his illness, and on March 31st, he took off for California to speak at a business convention. Just when his rule over college football seemed indestructible, he was gone. Rockney's last team carried him to his grave in a cemetery near his beloved university.
It was like you'd lost somebody who was like your father or your grandfather, who cared about you. And you lose somebody like that, and you never get over it. I don't think I ever go to a church that I don't light a candle for Rock. I mean, that's 50 years ago, and that's a lot of candles.
All my life, I have felt, and I still feel, that Rockney was one of the greatest men in the world. And whenever I had a tough decision to make, I would always look up and I'd say, Rock, what should I do? And I still do that today.
Beneath a giant birch tree, where Father Soren once sat smoking a peace pipe with the Indians, rest the bones of Newt Rockney. His spirit has yet to be buried.
You in your old head, and I want you guys charging through as far as you can go. On every play, they expect to play right over you every time. And this all forward pass, wait till you see the ball in the air, and then go and get it. And when they get it, boys, that's when they go on offense. Watch when we go to them. We're going inside them. We're going outside them. Inside them, outside them. And when we get them on the run once, we're going to keep them on the run. And we aren't going to stop until we go that goal line. Don't forget, man, today, we're going to win.
Religion has always been part of the mystique of Notre Dame,
31 counter.
but it is the men who have created its legends. In 1956, Notre Dame won only 2 games, but the Heisman Trophy voters looked beneath the mountain of defeats and found a gem, the golden boy, Paul Hornung. Hornung, number 5, led the Irish in scoring, passing, and punting, and finished second in the nation in total offense.
If I would have had that same year at Southern Cal, Michigan, or any of your great schools, Ohio State, I wouldn't have been close in the Heisman Trophy. But I was the Notre Dame quarterback, and that's the only reason I won it, because I was at the university for a quarterback to be at Notre Dame.
In 1924, Notre Dame had neither a reputation nor a golden boy, but they captured the country's imagination with an elusive, quick-striking quartet of running backs. After leading the Irish to a lopsided victory over Army, these 4 seniors were immortalized by the words of sports writer Grantland Rice.
Outlined against a blue-gray October sky, the 4 horsemen rode again today. In dramatic lore, they are known as death, pestilence, famine, and war. But in real life, their names are Stuhldrayer, Miller, Crowley, and Blake. So when we got back to South Bend on Monday, when we went out to practice, George Strickland, a sports writer, bought 4 horses out. We were in our football uniforms. He placed us on the horses and sent that picture all over the country. I think he made a small fortune on it. He had it copyrighted. I don't think that any of us had ever been on a horse before, and we were more frightened than the horses.
Like the 4 horsemen, George Gipp is also an unforgettable part of the history of Notre Dame. In 1918, the Gipper was an All-American on Rockney's first team. And years later, when a movie was made of Rockney's life, Gipp was portrayed as an honorable, outstanding young citizen who might one day grow up to be President of the United States. At least that's the way the actor playing Gipp's part interpreted the role. Well, Gipp certainly was a coach's dream during a game, but during the week, he was a coach's nightmare.
Gipp was over in Mishawaka playing poker one time, and Gipp got over late to practice. And he came on the field, Rockney out of the corner of his eye saw him, and he said, "Gipp, if you can't get here on time, go back and take your uniform off." And Gipp did just that. He took his uniform off and went back to the poker game.
Near the end of his senior season, Gipp was sidelined with a throat infection. And when the team played its final game at Michigan State, Gipp remained in South Bend, dying of pneumonia. With Coach Rockney at his bedside, the Gipper died on December 14th, 1920, at the age of 25. Years later, as a twice-beaten and demoralized Notre Dame 11 prepared to play the undefeated cadets of West Point, Newt Rockney told the team about these final minutes at George Gipp's bedside.
We're in the dressing room, still tense, quiet. Finally, Rock said, "How many of you ever heard of George Gipp?" Well, we all heard of George Gipp. One of the greatest players I ever coached. He died for Notre Dame. Here was this strong athlete, helpless in bed. And I said, George, what can I do? He said, Rock, he said, this is it. This is it. Oh, Rock said, George, you know, it can't be. This can't be it. There must be something I can do for you. He said, no, Rock, he says, I think this is it. He said, I'll tell you what you could do for me, though, Rock. There's going to come a time when you're going to want a game more than anything else in the world. And that time comes, I want to tell you something. Tell that gang to get that for the old Gipper. The emotion, you can't believe the emotion in that dressing room. Then Rock said, what about it, boys? Go get them.
Pick up the fourth man. Along. Good. Notre Dame has the ball on the Army 1-yard line.
Inspired by the ghostly spirit of George Gipp, the Irish upset the Army 12-6.
For a touchdown.
And as long as football is played at Notre Dame, there will never be a game as memorable as the one that was won for the Gipper. And several humble ones as well. At the campus fire hall in the second-story dormitory room, the course of Notre Dame football was plotted from 1941 to 1953. Here, a brilliant coach worked through the night instead of going home, staying close to the game and school that consumed his life. The coach's name was Frank Leahy.
Leahy was a great coach, and some tried to compare him with Rockne. Rockne could beat teams, and he could make them like it. Didn't create any resentment. Leahy, on the other hand, when Leahy beat somebody they resented, they hated his guts.
Frank Leahy is the kind of coach that you begin to respect more after you've left. But while you were participating in all of those daily football sessions while you were there, you sometimes had the feeling that this guy was the toughest taskmaster in the world.
But Frank Leahy was the epitome, I thought, of what a coach should be. He's a guy that stressed determination, dedication, self-sacrifice. He's the guy that said that anything worthwhile you had to pay the price for.
I loved Frank Leahy, really did. He would get more out of people. He engendered great respect. And I think this is back to where he wanted the same thing that Rockne engendered, great respect. I think the whole pattern was the Rockne-type philosophy.
Rockne's philosophy dominated Leahy's life from the moment he arrived at Notre Dame in 1927 from Winner, South Dakota. Like any tough young Irish Catholic of the era, Leahy's dream was to play for the Rock.
Oh, too high, Metzger, too high. And you didn't get that man out there, Leahy. Get your head on the inside of him, Frank. Carry him out.
Rockne taught Leahy the system and created a coach in his own image, preparing Leahy to claim his birthright.
Notre Dame students welcome new football coach Frank Leahy. Leahy, former Boston College coach, opens his first spring drill as ball.
Leahy swept out the old Notre Dame box in favor of a new formation which would feature an unknown reserve, Angelo Bertelli.
I was running about 6th string, and frankly, he decided that he needed someone to throw the forward pass, and overnight, I became a first stringer. I think, frankly, he was happy to see me, and I certainly was happy to see him, because it was the beginning of a modified T formation. It was time for a change at Notre Dame, away from the Notre Dame box and into the T formation.
With the T, Leahy lost only 3 games in 3 years, and Bertelli won the Heisman Trophy. It took a war to stop them.
Sign of the times, Notre Dame players join the Marine Corps Reserve. Sports are important on the morale front, but the boys are also wishing to throw the axis for a loss.
Bertelli was drafted right off the practice field, and Leahy followed close behind. The coach was commissioned a captain in the Navy, but some say he spent most of the next 2 years talking to servicemen with football eligibility remaining. By the time the war ended, Leahy was leading an awesome array of talent onto a different field of battle. His commander was the incomparable Johnny Lujack, a quarterback who fit Leahy's plan to a T. Lujack won the Heisman in 1947, and 2 years later, it was Leon Hart's turn. Rugged number 82 led the way, and in 4 straight seasons, Leahy's post-war legions did not lose a game.
Of those 4 years, we were national champions 3. That meant that a whole class of Notre Dame students went through without seeing their football team lose a game. Sometimes it gets to an attitude as you get towards the 3rd and 4th years, not whether we're going to win the ball game, but how bad should we beat these fellows today.
Notre Dame ruled the 40s, and Frank Leahy was the master. His one influence was unmistakable. He even sounded like Newt Rockne.
No, we accepted his manner of speech. In fact, we got a kick out of it, and I think any player that played at that time under Leahy could imitate the coach, and they could talk like Coach Leahy.
Oh, Leon, how are you, my lad?
Oh, Angelo, how are you? How's your mother and father? How's your girlfriend?
Oh, lads, let's run that again.
Oh, John Latner. John Latner, you should be in the Navy. You're a cruiser.
When John Latner cruised onto campus in 1950, his impressive physical skills were matched by his unpredictability. Latner's style was thrill a minute, but Leahy was not impressed.
I fumbled 5 times in one game. That's the only record I got left. And Leahy, being a perfectionist that he was, couldn't understand it. He couldn't understand why a back of my caliber could make those many mistakes. He says, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have you go over to one of the chapels here at the University of Notre Dame. And as you get into the chapel, John, would you please go to confession and confess those 5 mortal sins you committed last Saturday?
Leahy persuaded Latner to hold on to the ball more tightly, and number 14 became the Masters' 4th Heisman Award winner. While Leahy's teams in the 50s were good, they were no longer invincible. An average of 2 losses per season were more than this perfectionist could bear. In 1953, Leahy collapsed at the Georgia Tech game and received the last rites. He recovered, but refused to change.
We tried to get him to take a vacation to get away from